First off, I think we'd like to thank Carmelo Anthony for everything he's done for the Knicks organization, everything he's done for the city of New York, and we certainly wish him well in Oklahoma City. And on a time like this, I think it's important to talk about Carmelo as a person. I've had the fortune of getting to know him very well over the 4 years I've been here, and he is a tremendous person off the court. He's used his sort of brand and who he is as a basketball player and as a person to support some very important social issues. I had the opportunity, I think 3 years ago, to Puerto Rico with Carmelo, and I could see how much that community means to him as a person. I've watched his charitable efforts in Puerto Rico, his court dedications, his charity events, how he's interacted with the business community there. And with that in mind, we've decided to donate $100,000 to his hurricane relief project because we know it's important to him and we want to thank him for everything he's done for us. We've always been consistent with you that if we ever found a basketball deal that made sense for us and made sense for Carmelo, we would execute upon that, and that's really why we're here today. And I'd like to let Scott talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, before I get into the details on that too, I also want to thank Carmelo Anthony and his representation too for their professionalism throughout this process since I've come on board in mid-July. As we sat here on Friday morning with you guys, with many of you, we were perfectly ready to Carmelo Anthony was going to be back in the Knicks uniform, because that's where things were at that time. But as I've come to know during my 18 years in the NBA, things can be very fluid. So Friday night and into Saturday morning, early hours, things really picked up with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we felt at that time that there was going to be something there, and to our point all along, that it's going to make a little bit of sense for us as a basketball organization. It made some sense for Carmelo as well, and so we acted upon that. And so we sit here today. In the trade, we felt like getting back two 25-year-old players in Enes Kanter and Doug McDermott, both who have some solid skill sets. Enes is a young man who's proven that he can score basketball on the interior, ranked in the top 5 players in the league in terms of his ability to score off the bench. He displayed at Oklahoma City, and then obviously Doug McDermott's ability to make shots from the three-point range. And then we also were able to acquire a very valuable draft asset. So we felt the timing was right, and what we were going to get back was something that we could work with in a positive manner.
All right, let's start with some questions and answers. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand. Wait for the microphone to come around, and please introduce yourself so we know who you are.
Ethan Begley, ESPN. I guess just for Steve and Scott, I mean, in the end, is it better off getting this done before today? Did that have any factor in how things progressed from Friday to Saturday afternoon?
I mean, obviously now we have the opportunity to kind of turn the page a little bit, but again, you know, it still came down to something that was going to be presented to us that made enough sense from a basketball perspective, and it just happened to come together, like I said, late Friday night, early Saturday morning. So we're looking forward to moving ahead and establishing the culture that we want to have here and how we're going to play as a basketball team moving forward.
Steve Popper from the Bergen Record. I guess for Scott Moore, moving Melo and bringing Enes, you kind of do have a little bit of a logjam in center now. Are you still thinking this is what you bring to the season, or does this make you more active maybe?
No, like I said the other day, part of my job is to daily obviously assess our roster and take phone calls and figure out ways how to keep getting this basketball team better. And so I will continue to do that. So it doesn't impact my thought process really, because I was going to do that regardless of who's here, and I will continue to do that as long as I'm here.
Mark Dermott here at Post. I mean, Carmelo is 33 years old. It seems it's all about guys in their mid-20s, but why didn't you think Carmelo was a fit here? I mean, specifically, I mean, it was clear that you wanted to move on. Why didn't you think at 32 he could be a
No,
fit and a positive influence?
I don't think that was the discussion at all about him being a fit. I think it was just, again, us getting together and deciding that, he had made his sentiments known, as had we. And if there was something that made sense, we were going to move forward without him. And if it didn't, we were going to move forward with him. And this just happened to make enough sense for us to move forward without him.
Ron Weitzman, Bleacher Report. Over here. Scott.
Oh, okay, so, yeah.
Did you guys bring the Thunder were you in touch with the Thunder beforehand, and did you bring that idea to Carmelo? Did he say to you he was willing to waive the trade to go there? How'd that go about?
Well, what I want to always do is respectfully in the process, because I'm always talking to teams around the league, is not necessarily expose conversations that we have. I want to protect the integrity of our conversations, and who contacted who first, who we talked about. I'd rather leave that private, if you will. And but just at the end of the day, obviously, I've had some familiarity with the people there, and you're on the phone all the time. But it really didn't pick up to the point to where we could consummate any type of deal until, like I said, late Friday is when I think things really got serious.
Stephen Bondy, New York Daily News. Both of you guys talk highly of Willie Hernangomez leading up to this and future core piece. Now you bring on another center who's 25 years old. You already have Joe Kimmello. What is the plan for the center position moving forward?
I think a lot of things will be sorted out through the training camp that's getting ready to get underway tomorrow. And that division of labor will be decided on how guys compete through this process. And obviously that's one of the coaching staff's biggest jobs coming into this is figuring that kind of thing out. And we'll assess it each and every day throughout our training camp and during preseason games and into the season. And we'll definitely make what we believe are the right moves to keep getting this team better.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press. Over here. I'm sorry, guys. I guess TV were here longer, so I'm not sure. Maybe I know, Scott, you said you also talked to Carmelo, but did you guys have much conversation with kind of why he wanted to? Obviously, you guys had your own feelings why you want to move on. Maybe why he did. Was it, the win-loss record? Was it, maybe just the experience of last year sour him? Did you get a feeling why he was ready to go?
Well, I'm not going to talk specifically to our conversations, but in a general sense, we had discussions with Carmelo, and he just made it clear his point of view in terms of what he'd like to see if we could get accomplished, and we just worked together to see if there was something there.
Hi, I'm DC Livers with Black Press Radio. My question is really asked by our audience, and so they wanted to, they're really excited that there's people of color. So I wanted to just ask you guys what it's like and what you plan to do to help make sure there's diversity in the league.
Well, what I want to do is just do the very best possible job that I can do, and I'm sure Steve feels the same way, to represent ourselves and this organization in a first-class manner. And in doing so, hopefully that opens up more opportunities and inclusion and diversity in our sport and other sports moving forward.
And I echo that. I'm on the NBA started a Global Inclusion Council, which is really designed to help increase gender and racial diversity across every part of the NBA. And so they added me to help on the basketball operations side. So I like to participate, make them think about different things. How can we create opportunities for people to just get included and be considered for positions. So Scott and I will continue to do that. And I think the best thing we can do is be good examples and do our jobs well. And that will help open the doors for other people.
To your left, Mike Gorman from New York Times. How much do you think the fact that Carmelo had a no-trade clause and kind of the openness of this entire trade process, how much did that hamstring you in terms of what potential return you could have gotten and how the entire process played out?
I don't know that you can fully put how much or how little that impact has. All I know is that when I got here, we obviously addressed all the issues before. That we were just going to do something that worked for us If it didn't, under the parameters of the no trade clause, then, but obviously something presented itself, and we felt good enough about the deal, and we moved forward. If we didn't, we wouldn't have moved forward.
Christian Winfield, SB Nation. Steve, when you thanked Carmelo, you thanked him for his stance on tackling social issues. I was just wondering if you've taken the temperature of the locker room now, and the roster as it stands, has a lot of people that aren't from here. So is there a type of education or a kind of process that you want to teach them or have them understand what is going on there, and help them formulate an opinion or help them formulate a plan to take a stand?
Yes, we do that, and we try to get them to think about it as a group. Last year when we got them together, we talked about the makeup of our team, a lot of international guys, some guys from the States, and that it was important for them on social issues to think about it as a group and think about how it impacts the guy sitting next to them. So we'll talk to them and we'll encourage them to get together and think about how things, what's important to them.
Bruce Beck, WNBC TV. Steve, now that Carmelo is gone, what is your vision for this team for this year in terms of goals and expectations?
It's nothing different than what we laid out since Scott came on board. We expect this to be a team that plays hard, has a defensive mindset. It's an opportunity for us to grow our young players, make sure they're developing individually and as a group, and we have a good group of veterans around that will be very important in the development of the younger players. But we want to put a team on the floor that's going to play hard every night. Scott talks about it all the time. They're going to compete every time they get on the floor, and it's a team that New York will be proud to support.
Hi, Malika Andrews, New York Times. I was just wondering, with Carmelo moving on to Oklahoma, what you'll be looking for now from Kristaps Porzingis and how he's going to fit, and is that someone you're really going to look towards to be a leader on off the court?
We're looking forward to Kristaps to continue his development. You know, he's entering his third year as a professional. He continues to grow and develop physically and obviously mentally as well too. So there'll be we want to see that natural progression. We want to support him. We want to push him. We want to hold him accountable, and ultimately he'll determine on how much he's going to be able to handle in terms of the leadership role, and I know he's looking forward to the challenge, and I'm looking forward to getting to know him a lot better and work with him, and that starts now because he's just getting back here, and I'm looking forward to that.
Mike Ficara, New York Post, for both of you guys, are you comfortable that how do you want to describe the way it ended last year for him, for Porzingis, that's all been resolved, it's going to be resolved, that he's comfortable being back here and moving forward?
I'm confident that we will spend a lot of time with KP as we will with the other players, and we'll make this, whatever issues there were last year, we'll make sure those aren't part of who we are moving forward, and make sure that our players understand exactly what we expect of them, and we'll understand what they expect from us as management, and make sure we have a good environment moving forward.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. From this point forward, we'll start bringing players